Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first Conversations with Victor and Andrea. We're still trying to figure this out.
Yes, it's going to be a big learning curve involved in this, but we're so excited. See, you and I are big podcast people.
We are big podcast fans, so whenever we realized the station that was something we may be moving toward, we said, hey, we've got to get in on this.
I feel like I've become weird since becoming such a podcast lover because people now will ask me, like, what kind of music do you listen to? I'm like, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't.
It's like it's this little culture. You find other people who listen to podcasts and you go, oh, have you listened? And then you start comparing stories. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So what are your favorites?
Okay, so I listen to a lot of like love and relationship podcasts because I can use all the help I can get, obviously. Right. I actually, side note, took a class in college called Love and Friendship. And I got a C by the skin of my teeth.
What does that say about you?
It's very accurate.
We've already devolved into this.
Yeah, it didn't take long. We knew that was going to come. But I also like, true crime podcasts. Yes, those are fun.
We're both big fans of Serial.
And I like, oh yeah. Season 3 just came out.
Season 3 is really good, yeah.
It's good. But the other ones I like are just conversation podcasts, which was kind of the idea for this. I listen to a lot of reporters that have just, because we don't have that opportunity very often.
No, we normally have a minute 30 to tell whatever story we're telling.
Yeah, so we have extended time to say what we really think.
Although the thought of having a half an hour is also kind of daunting. Well, that's why we're going to try to keep it at. We're still figuring things out as we go along on this. We haven't completely locked down a name. We haven't completely locked down a format. Although by the time you see this on your feed, I guess you'll know what the name is.
That's true.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's going to be set in stone. So if anybody has any suggestions, feel free.
That is one of the other things.
We want this to be a community. Our
That's
listeners are going to be
right.
very involved with this, Victor.
So our hope is over the course of this podcast that we will talk to other people who bring you the news from WKYT, people whose faces you know but whose story you may not know as much. So it'll be kind of a chance to get to know the rest of us. And we decided to start with each other.
Eek.
Andrea is terrified about this.
I don't know why. Talking about myself is one of my least favorite things to do.
Not mine. I could talk about myself all day.
So he says, but he's also making us flip a coin.
Well, because I thought the first one, realistically, I thought we should start with the more well-known of us. You're on more throughout the week, and I thought let's start with Andrea.
Oh, no.
But then you got scared, and I said, well, let's flip a coin live
make this fair.
While we're recording. So, heads, you go first. Tails, I go first?
No, I want it the other way.
You want tails? See, okay.
There was a heads or tails game the other night, and it landed on heads every time. And somebody said statistically, it'll probably land on heads more often. So I'm. Wait. So I want tails.
It's 50-50.
You go first.
I don't know.
Tails, you go
first.
So
you got to see in love and relationships. What did you get in statistics?
It's the weight, Victor.
Okay.
For some reason, the weight of the coin, I think. But there is the saying, tails never fails.
I think
you call it. You call it. You ready?
I told you I'll take tails.
Tails, you go first?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I'm nervous. And I can't lie.
What is that? Is that tails?
It's heads.
It's heads. All right. So heads, you go first.
No.
That was agreed
upon. I didn't want to go first, and I called it heads.
You asked me. I said I'll take tails. You said tails.
Never fails.
Tails, I go first.
It failed.
People, I'm really sorry that we spent 4 minutes trying to figure this out. Point is, we're going to get to know Andrea Walker.
Oh, okay.
Well, a little behind the scenes here. We're probably going to shoot the first 2 episodes just back to back. So, as soon as we're done, we'll flip it around.
All right. You'll be able to make all the improvements. When you see me floundering in certain areas, you'll know where to do better.
That's right. I'm trying to think. So, let's start back at the beginning.
Victor?
Well,
my origin story.
That's pretty much it.
Because you're the comic book guy, so you called it an origin story.
I do call it an origin story. But here's the thing about comic book movies. The origin part is the most boring. You just want to get to the action.
Yeah, that's true. So. My life isn't very action.
Well, so you're from Nicholasville. That's
yes.
You are local.
Well, technically, I would call it Jessamine County.
Where were you born?
In Jessamine County. Well, I mean, I was born in Lexington at a hospital.
Okay, that's what I didn't know. Sometimes people were born one place and then move somewhere else.
I honestly don't remember which hospital it was. I know a lot of people know that information. I guess I just don't. I don't remember.
No big deal.
Obviously, but yeah.
So you grew up in Jessamine County.
Mm-hmm.
I guess at what point did you realize that this what moved you toward this?
So I went to elementary school at Wilmore Elementary,
okay,
which I still to this day, my best years of my life. So we actually ended up getting a new school building when I was in, I guess it was 4th grade. We moved to a brand new building. And before that, I think I was in 3rd grade, and they asked me to speak at a groundbreaking ceremony. And, out of all the students, they chose me to speak.
Ooh.
Which was, a big honor, a little
yeah.
daunting, but I felt like I rose to the occasion, and it was something I was finally good at.
And that was your first public appearance?
Yeah. So that was kind of my first public speaking engagement. And then after that, I did 4-H, and I did a lot of speech contests and stuff like that. I always did well. So I felt like that would be something that comes naturally to me, so something that I would maybe excel at. And I always like talking to people, so that part's fun too, and just getting to know people.
Okay. Tell me about your family. Your mom still lives in Jessamine County?
Yeah, so my family's pretty well known in Jessamine County. My dad was sheriff for years. He passed away when I was young, but everybody loved him. So everybody's like, oh, you're Steve's girl. Or they think I'm Joe's girl, who's my uncle, also sheriff after my dad. We're a dynasty, let me tell you, in Jessamine County. My mom is still with us. She's my best friend.
Which is, we all have tickets to the Backstreet Boys next year.
Yes.
She may be your date, is that?
Well, as I said, depends on how the love and relationship podcasts go. If I learn anything between now and then, let's hope I find a date. But Mama Lindsay will be my backup, for sure.
So then where did you go to high school?
West Jessamine.
All right.
A cult.
A cult, not a cult.
Not a cult. A cult with an O. Yeah, me and Jared Polson. Jared Polson is our biggest claim to fame.
All right.
So anytime
I
go
say
back
you're
to
right
an
up there
event,
with him.
No, I'm not. Not at all. Like they asked me to come back and like speak at the high school and stuff, and usually Jared will be there too, and it's like everybody's so excited for him, and then I come up and they're like,
Oh, so Andrea. I know that feeling because whenever I work as a reporter and I'll go out to a scene and I'll step out and they'll look and people go, oh, where's Amber Philpott? I'm like, oh, sorry.
People call me Amber Philpott a lot, which I'll take.
Everybody
all
loves
day.
Amber.
Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
sure, why not? Yeah.
But it's always like, where's Amber? Where's Andrea? Where's some attractive female? They're just disappointed to see me show
Oh my gosh.
I mean, you got to imagine it's a bunch of firefighters, so they're. Well, the next time I'll give them your number.
Next time, call me.
Yeah, all right.
Maybe I'll just rush to the scene.
So you go to high school at West Jessamine. College.
Western and Eastern. So
Okay.
I just covered the whole state.
We were both colonels.
Yes, we're both.
Did you graduate from
Colonel
Eastern?
grads. Yes.
Okay.
An eternal colonel, as Bill Bryant would say.
All right. And so we both have something in common that we both worked at a station that shall not be named.
Oh, wait, what? Oh, that's right.
you
Across
actually surprised
town.
about that. I forgot where I worked.
I was there for such a short amount
Yeah.
of time. We both worked at a competing station.
We'll get to my time there eventually, but you so you were there shortly and then went to BKO in Bowling Green?
I actually went to WNKY first, which
Oh, I
is
didn't know
also
that.
in Bowling Green. I was
Okay.
there for like a month, and my co-host was a dog.
Oh,
You didn't
I gotta
know
find
this?
this video. No, I did.
Radar the weather dog.
Oh.
He is the most popular figure in Bowling Green. Like
I mean, that sounds like the perfect job.
for
I couldn't
me,
imagine.
you know how I am with
Yeah.
dogs.
I'm going to bring my dog in, Vader, the Wonder Pug.
I think Victor and Vader, that could be a show.
There we go. I can't wait to bring Vader in.
He's a character.
Yeah. So
And
that's
Vera.
Vader. We got a lot of
Baby
V's at the house.
Vera. Yeah.
Yeah. So after your days with Radar
Days
the
with
Wonder
the
Dog,
dog.
then you went to BKO.
Yes. So I guess I started out behind the scenes at that other station, which we love them there. We're not.
Well, that's the thing. Everybody's friendly with
thinks that
everybody.
we-
yeah. They expect the scene from Anchorman where everybody starts fighting, but we all start talking.
We
hang
all
out
get
'cause
along.
we all-
It's
yeah.
all good. Yeah. But so I was a producer and an editor there. Then I moved over to Bowling Green and I was a morning show anchor. Then I moved to evening show anchor and now I'm back on mornings.
And what was that like?
So I've covered everything.
What was the process like of getting? Because I remember I was, obviously working here whenever you started, and I remember we all saw you come in for an interview. We're like, what's going on? Because our morning, Rebecca Smith would work mornings. She had left to go. She'd had a kid, was working, spend time with her family. And so then we saw you come in, and I was like, what's going on with this new girl?
Well, I was very proactive.
Proactive, yeah.
So I came to a producer's workshop here, and that's where I met the news director. And he encouraged me to visit with the, what is Sherry called?
Our image consultant?
Image consultant.
Oh, yeah.
I guess he didn't
Everybody
like my
loves
look. So I went and
Did you
spent
still have
the day-
pageant hair?
Well, I mean,
We'll get to the pageant stuff.
I still have pageant hair to this day, and that's never going away.
Next episode, I'll tell you about my
Next
time in
ep-
pageants.
You do? Oh, he really does have time. He's not lying.
No, I meant as a child.
Oh,
I'll tell you about that later.
toddler in a tiara.
That's right.
But yeah, so I met with the image consultant, and she kind of helped me get my act together. And after that, I just decided, I was like, you know what? I don't know when something's going to come open. So I just called and asked for an interview, which I was like, you know what? A reporter, that's what they do on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, people
so I'll just call and ask for an interview. So I did, and there wasn't even really a spot open when I called and came in and interviewed. So I kind of started on the 4 o'clock news. It was me and Amber, which really threw people for a loop.
Two women?
I know. Crazy.
Oh, my goodness. Ladies reading the news.
And she and I had a knack for, like, wearing the same dress on the same day. Do you remember that? It was so awkward.
Vaguely. I think, yeah.
Yeah. But as fate would have it, the morning show slot came open eventually, and I love mornings. They're a little more laid back, which I enjoy.
Plus, you get to work with Bill.
And I get to work with Billy.
Working with Bill on your first shift is kind of such a blessing because he has been here forever. He's so helpful.
Yes.
That was, when I started too, I was on the morning shift, and
he makes it so easy because he hates silence. So there's never an awkward silence in the mornings. Like if there's like a millisecond that I'm not in, he's going to cover it up and like say something and cover me. So he's very easy to work with.
So what's it been like making that transition from, once you got here and then becoming fairly well known in the Lexington area? I mean, you're on a popular show. Going back home, people going, oh, I know her.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, like I said, my family's pretty well known in Jessamine County, so that was always a little bit of the case going home, but it has gotten a little more extreme. Like going to Walmart I got to carve out at least an hour and a half. You don't run in and run out. You got to say hi to everybody, which I like. I'm not complaining at all. I love seeing people from my hometown, and if they didn't watch, I wouldn't have a job. So, you know, it's
you and I
all
have
right.
something else in common.
What?
So one day I was on my lunch break. I was over in Brandon Crossing, and I walk into a Goodwill because
yes!
I hit up a lot of Goodwills. I was on my lunch break.
Allegedly.
And I turn the corner, and there's Andrea. We look at each other like, hey, it's like that Spider-Man picture. Hey, pointing at each other.
I knew you'd get in a comic book reference.
Yeah, well, I'll probably get in a lot of them.
I know.
And so, yeah, we both look, and we realized, oh, you're a Goodwiller. And it's not just
yes.
Goodwills. It's like bargain hunts, all that kind of stuff. I don't even buy stuff that often, but I just like scrounging through the stuff.
I have a problem.
Yeah.
Everybody talks about, do you ever wear the same outfit twice? And I have way too much clothes. I have an issue with that. But like you said, I am a good bargain shopper.
There you go.
So even though I have a lot, I didn't spend a lot. So keep that in mind.
That's the key.
Relatable.
Whereas I'm just looking at like DVDs and board games and just.
I know, you were looking at the board games. And I was actually looking for Scrabble pieces that my mom wanted for an art project. But she didn't like the ones they had there, so
No.
I'm still looking. Still on the hunt.
Okay, so you've been here. How many years have you been here now?
2.5.
2.5.
Almost 3, yeah.
Wow, time is just flying by.
It really does. It doesn't seem like I've been here this long. One thing that I love about this podcast is that I get to hang out with you because you and I have talked about anchoring together.
We have.
It would be out of control. So it's probably for the best that we're
well, it might be best to just get it out here
together.
because that's the thing. Andrea and I are friends, but our schedules slightly overlap. She's generally leaving as I'm coming in. So, yeah, it is kind of nice just to hang out and actually have a conversation. Mm-hmm. But,
that's the name of the podcast.
maybe. We're still figuring it out, yeah. Oh, airport news director. So, yeah, that's, I don't know, it's just kind of interesting to get to actually talk to people. And I think that's one of the other things is because we work with so many people and we see them, but we don't actually talk to them.
Right.
How often do you have actual conversations with the people you work with?
You're always in a rush in news. You're always trying to meet a deadline. So sometimes you get cut off. Like you say, you don't get to really just sit down and hang. And the schedules are so weird. I'm up at 2 o'clock in the morning, so I'm not going to see a lot of people at night. So it'll be fun for me, like once we start bringing in night-siders, for me to get to know people. This is going to be good for you guys and
That's
us
the thing.
as
Like,
well.
yeah, we've got reporters like Krista. I think I've seen her 3 times since she's been here.
Yeah, because she's on my shift, so
Yeah, you see her every day, so that will be interesting to figure that out.
She'll be a good one. I can't wait for people to get to know her better. She's a little spicy.
All right.
Yeah, I think she's got some personality, some sass.
All about some spice.
I like that.
That'll be good. That'll be
Yeah.
good. So let's get back to you.
What's the thing also? What do they say about people, like you can't dislike somebody once you know their story?
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, I think that's true because it's so easy to like get frustrated with people sometimes, but you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. And once you really get to know somebody, I think it's just so much easier. You have that camaraderie that you can fall back on. And, if people get stressed at work.
That's true, because you think about people who you argue with on politics and stuff or religion, that kind of stuff, but it's a lot easier to do that with strangers as opposed to somebody who you love. even I have relatives who they'll post stuff, and it's like, well, but I love them, so it's like I'm not
Exactly.
going to argue with them. I mean, it's like,
It's
look,
kinda like
I love
that-
you. We
that
may disagree
day
on
where
stuff, but
I'm going to throw you under the bus. Ooh, yes.
Oh,
Do you know what this is?
I have an idea.
Okay, so Victor sends back a script where the anchor tag on a show I was anchoring just randomly had the word panda in it.
In my defense, I was using voice to text, and I
What
was
was it
in
supposed
a
to
bit
say?
of a
I
rush.
still don't know to this day.
It was people who it was something about helping somebody avoid the law. I don't know, yeah, something like that.
Well, for some reason the word panda was in it, and I definitely read it. I was full on Anchorman moment. Whatever was in the prompter, I said it.
There were a few
And
people
I
who
was
failed there.
so angry. But then
I
I found
failed.
out that you did it, and I honestly was just like, oh, okay. But I love him.
Here's the other thing. I felt so bad because it was you who
should.
read it. That's the other thing. I think if other people read it, I might have been like, well, that's a bummer. Somebody should have caught that. But I was like, oh, that happened to Andrea? Oh, no, I feel so
no.
bad. But also because it was you, it made me
It made
laugh.
it funnier.
Yeah,
Exactly,
because I was
it made
like,
it
oh, this
funnier.
is. So, yeah, I mean, it's on Twitter somewhere.
Oh, yes, it is.
Um,
Let's hope it has.
that was a failure
very
on a few
deep
parts. But it was
in the internet.
it was a learning lesson for all of us.
It was.
I learned to
yes.
really go over my scripts before I send them in. Poor Mitchell learned to make sure Victor's sending in correct scripts. And then, reading ahead of time.
It
That's so little,
happens.
but
It all
yeah.
happens. Everybody makes mistakes, and you just gotta get past it.
That is one of the things that we generally try to catch those before they go to air. But yeah, you'll see people make mistakes all the time
Yeah.
reading. Just Adam, this weekend, Adam and I.
Oh, this is good. I've heard about
I was
this.
tossing to him. We had a tease about people standing in line for bourbon. So when it came back to us, the weather was going to be better, and I said something about decent day if you're going to be standing in line waiting for bourbon. And so then I tossed to Adam Burniston, and I referred to him as Adam Bourbon because I just did.
I like that.
Yeah, well, it may stick. Who knows? Poor guy.
That would really work in this market, I think. If your last name was
Hi, I'm
Bourbon,
Adam Bourbon.
like, that's my guy.
Poor guy. People
I
already.
called him. Okay, so his last name is Burniston, and I called him Meteoroliston.
Meteoroliston.
Instead of meteorologist Adam Burniston, I said Meteoroliston Adam Burniston.
We're just a bunch of hot messes.
I know, it's hard.
So another big part of your life, pageants. Tell me
Oh,
about
my
that. When did you
gosh.
start? How did this? I mean, if you look like through your, one of the first things whenever somebody starts, I will just go back through their Facebook history and start
Yeah.
stalking them because that's kind of what we all do.
It's what millennials do.
It's what we. It's I don't even feel bad at this. There was a time when I felt creepy admitting that. Now it's like no, that's just
Everybody
that's what
does
we do.
it. I think it's
gotta get to
weirder
know.
if you don't.
Yeah.
It's like I'm
You
doing
want to
my
know who
research.
these people are because if they're a hot mess, you go, oh, what are we getting into?
Right.
And so tip to anybody looking for a job, clean up your Facebook profile.
That is a good tip. Early is.
So when did you get started?
I guess I was about 15. I mean, I did like the baby show when I was little, but I was not in the pageant world at that time. But I started when I was young. I was a teenager, 14 or 15. I don't remember exactly. But I did the Miss America system. So I did talent and everything and honed my interview skills back in that day. I know that pageants sometimes get a bad rap, but I really don't think that I would have this job if it wasn't for that.
Yeah, just learning to talk in
Yeah.
front of a crowd, that kind
And
of stuff.
A lot of the jobs that I've gotten, I feel like a lot of women who did pageants end up in the news industry. I don't know. I feel like they just kind of work in the same way because you're always on stage.
You get comfortable being in front of a crowd.
Yeah. So it came more naturally to me, I guess, when I got here. But, Nancy Cox actually helped me get my first job. So if you guys were really hadn't figured out where that station was that we were talking about, that sealed the deal for you. But she helped me get my first job. And then the job I got in Bowling Green was another pageant girl. So, I mean, it's really helped with networking. I know people from all over the state because of it. So it's wonderful.
I guess I hadn't even thought about that, just how many people you meet and then going forward.
And they're everywhere. So it's just really nice. I have a lot of friends. Literally, I have a friend in about every town of Kentucky. So it makes it easier if we need to reach out to somebody in some other town. I might know somebody just from that. So that's nice.
Nice. All right.
It works.
It works. So now, another thing. You recently bought an old schoolhouse,
I did.
and you're in the process of renovating it.
Yes.
How's that going?
Oh, that process.
I'll occasionally see pictures or updates or just grief
Yeah.
online.
Right. Oh, yeah. So, I mean, and everybody in Nicholasville knows that I bought the schoolhouse. So when I'm in Walmart, that's what everybody's like, how's the school looking? And my mom goes to a little church out in the country, and a lot of the people that go there went to school at my schoolhouse. So they'll just pop by from time to time. And like they're so sweet. Like it's a lot of retired people. They'll like bring me flowers, or they've even brought me a picture of the school before from back in the day. It's really cool. So it's fun to have a place with a story. But it is a process. Like it's an old building, so
I mean, this is going to take years. I mean,
and you know, I have to save my money between projects because I'm not, we're not made of money.
That's
I wish we made as much as people think we made.
That is one of the biggest misconceptions whenever I go back home. People are like, "Oh, you're on TV, you must be rich."
False.
Yeah, false.
That is false.
Yeah, no, you do this because you enjoy it, not because of the.
I do love it.
Yeah.
Do you love it? You still
love
it?
I well, and that's the thing because it's.
You have to.
You have to. It's fairly easy to get out of it if you don't want to do it.
Yeah.
You know. You don't have to. I mean, that's the other thing. People who are, whenever I see people who are in this industry who complain, it's, well, you know, you don't have to be here, and you can go get a job in PR and make decent money.
Because it's not an easy job.
No.
It's very stressful.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you don't love it, you probably aren't going to stick with it.
No. And I've known plenty of people who were good at the job, got in, did a few years, and just got out because it wasn't for them. You know, went into hospitality management or just PR, different things.
Yeah.
And
whatever makes you
they're
happy.
a lot happier. So we had a producer who left to go work for an event planning parks somewhere. Anyway, so she goes in, and her first day they hand her a project and tell her we need a write up on this. And
would it take her 5 minutes?
Well, that's the thing. So she left, and she came back an hour later with this written press release, and they looked at her and said, "No, we don't need this until next week." And she went back to her office and cried like tears of joy because she goes, "Oh my goodness, I didn't realize this is what it's like out in the real world." They were surprised because we work under such tight deadlines. If you give us a project and say I need this done, you know, we're going to come back in an hour and go, "Okay, here it's done."
Yeah, they're like, "Hey Andrea, go cover this event. It starts at 11:30. We need it for noon."
That's the thing. Okay. It's not uncommon, to get it for me to get in at 9:30 and them say, "Okay, you're live at noon with this thing that doesn't start until 11."
That you've never heard of before that you need to be an expert on.
Yes, you have to be, because you have to become an expert so quick, because if you make a mistake, somebody will call you out on it.
Gosh, yeah. Bear with us, people. It's our cry for help.
Okay, so you're working on an old house. One of my other favorite stories about you is your recent adoptions.
Yes, my puppers.
So how did that come about?
Oh my gosh, I have so many dogs now. So many dogs. Well, you know the story about my dog that went missing.
Yeah, I know that one.
For 5
I was talking
days.
About, didn't you pick up multiples at one time?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah, of course. Oh, just like it's no big deal to just adopt a bunch of dogs at once.
Well, I'm from the country, so, you know, people drop off animals all the time in the country. So we're so used to just having strays come live with us and having so many animals at once. It's not a big deal for my family or a surprise, and I'm the #1 culprit for bringing home strays.
Andrea found another one.
I know. I have such a tender heart, and when it comes to animals, they just get me every time. So I went to a girlfriend of mine. Her dog unexpectedly had puppies. So she had all these dogs.
I mean, it's not really a surprise how that happens.
Well, I think... True.
Anyway,
I'll just
so unexpectedly, so they weren't expecting puppies.
Yes, but so they're so cute. They're so cute. So I went over to look at them, and sure enough, instead of getting one like I intended, I came home with 3, which
That's
I think
just a reasonable thing to do.
Completely irrational, obviously. So 3 ended up being too many. So one of my producers actually ended up taking one.
I believe I told you that
Yeah, I
day.
believe everyone told me
I think I told you this seems like a lot to take
But
on.
I will stand by 2. I think 2 is easier.
Well, they take care of each other.
Exactly. They can entertain each other because puppies are needy. So I think it made it a lot easier.
All right.
And then Miranda Combs ended up getting 2 puppies as well right after I did. So, and I think she agreed with me.
Yeah? She thought the 2 was good?
Easier. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll keep that in mind. Although I got a 6-month-old, so I don't know if I'll be getting any animals anytime soon.
Yeah, that's probably wise. Yeah. I can't wait for the next podcast to talk about your family, your growing family.
Oh, growing family.
I know.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what else we got going on. So, podcast fan, what are you into as far as books and movies, that kind of stuff?
I feel like it runs the gamut.
Yeah.
It just kind of depends. There are a lot I try to always read books before I see the movie.
Okay.
That's a big thing for me. Remember we talked about Ready Player One?
We did, yes.
Yeah, and I still haven't seen the movie. I read the book, but I haven't seen the movie. That's what happens to me a lot of times.
I've got it on Blu-ray. I'll bring it in.
Okay, deal. And
okay.
then we can discuss that at some point.
Because they made some changes to the movie
That's what I've heard.
I liked.
You did like?
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
Mixed reviews.
There are parts of the book that I would have liked to have seen in there, but I was pretty happy with the movie. I mean, to condense that much material into an hour and a half, it's tough. And
yeah.
So I was pretty happy with it. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So
I think that's it. I don't want to talk about myself anymore.
Well, we're approaching a solid, 26 minutes of
that's pretty good.
Andrea Walker. You feel good with that?
Yeah, I feel great.
All right.
I think it went all right. It was less painful than I anticipated.
It's going to be interesting as this develops. We'll obviously get more comfortable behind the microphone.
You'd think we would be good at that already.
That's the other. Well, we're so used to presenting facts or things that we've learned.
World.
It's so different when you're just talking. Right before we started, Andrea was talking in the microphone. I said, "Oh, you've already got your NPR voice."
I do.
Hello,
listen to a
and
lot
welcome.
of NPR. I do have a totally different voice for on air too. Don't you?
Oh yeah, I do. Yeah, I mean,
everybody does.
You have to, yeah.
And it's not like I try to like put it on or anything like that. It's just, the lights come on and you kind of just straighten up a little
Whenever
bit.
I go back home, people, will say, well, you don't sound the same.
Oh, my
on air.
family, it drives them crazy.
Of course not, because what am I going to do? Stand in front of a house and be like, hey, y'all, look at this fire. It's going crazy. I don't have as...
I'd watch that, though. Honey, I'd watch that.
Baby, y'all look at this thing right now. It is going up in flames.
Honey, there's a tire fire. Them tires are on fire.
So when I was a photographer, I'd go out with reporters sometime, and especially if they weren't from the area, I would have to translate if we were out in the country. Because people would say, we would do entire interviews and be like, that fire started over there behind the barn, and they was going down there. And I was like, man, that's real big. And so then we'd get done, and the reporter would look at me and go, well, what did he say?
And you're like, I understood every word.
No. Yeah, he said the fire was around the barn, and it started, so.
That happened the other day. They interviewed a guy from Jessamine County, and they had to use captions. And I was like, the saddest part is I don't need them.
You don't need them, yeah. No, I got it.
Viewers might have, but I was like, I got every word.
Well, chances are most of the viewers probably understood them, too. There's probably just
true.
a few people here who are like, I don't know, let's put them up. But, better to be careful than...
Better to be safe than sorry.
People can understand. All right, well, everybody, that is our first podcast.
Our first conversation.
Our first
with Victor and Andrea.
We got to figure out how to end this. We didn't talk about that ahead of time.
Oh, my gosh. Well, now you put pressure on us.
How do you end a podcast? Come up with something good, Andrea.
Oh.
Wait, where can people find you online?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's I keep thinking, I'm like, what do other good podcasts do?
That's true. They do. Tease up your upcoming projects and all that kind of thing. I don't have any projects. I'm sorry. If you want to donate to the GoFundMe for my schoolhouse, I might create one. No, but my Twitter, which I'm not great on Twitter, but maybe that'll be my resolution this year.
Yeah. Well, people start interacting with you from this,
better Twitter presence.
At some point, I imagine we'll do a Q&A and people can send
That'll
us questions.
Fun.
Yeah.
I like that. But at Andrea, WKYT, and I'm also on Facebook, Andrea Walker, WKYT. It's pretty easy to find us. What about you?
I am at the Victor Puente because Victor Puente was taken by a Mexican businessman who refuses to give it up and doesn't tweet at all.
Has there been a battle?
I wouldn't say a battle, but I've definitely reached out to him once or twice, like, hey, buddy, you want to get off this? But nope. So it's the Victor Puente. Makes me sound a little more self-important than I actually am. But and then
2 E's or 1 E?
Huh?
Was it 2 E's, the Victor Puente?
Yeah, just the Victor Puente.
Just 1 E?
1 E.
Okay. I'm just making sure people know.
You mean I made it sound like the?
Yes.
That's a lot of E's. No, just the Victor Puente. And then, if you search on Facebook, Victor Puente WKYT, it'll pop up. So we're pretty accessible. We interact with people. Come find us.
And we want to hear from you. We want to make this, better and better as we go along. I think we're used to getting feedback, unwarranted feedback, so we'll take it. We can take it.
Yeah, these first 2 episodes are us, but eventually we'll start talking to other people in the newsroom. Definitely be interested to hear some of their stories.
And maybe hear from people you don't see on air.
Yeah, we've got some photographers I'd really like to hear from.
Oh, our photographers, many of them have been there longer than any of us. So their stories go way back. That'll be fun. I'm excited.
All right. Well, Andrea, thank you very much.
Thank you, Victor.
Thank you all for listening.